What's going on, fight fans? I'm back here with another video here set for you guys. Going to be talking about this Saturday night fight night boxing edition. Going to be going through the boxing event that just went through. Headlining was Jaron Boots Ennis versus Karen Chukhadzhian 2. And just going to be talking and giving my thoughts about what happened and giving you a recap and insight between the co-main event and the main event of this event. So starting off with the co-main event, obviously it was Jesse Bam Rodriguez versus Pedro Guerra. Man, what a performance by Jesse Rodriguez. He's it, bro. He's honestly it. Pound for pound list. Even at the young age that he's at, I mean, he's at the age of 24 years old, just became a father, and man, he is just on another level. You can just tell by his talent and skill that and it's not just all reliant on talent. There's a lot of work that's been put in the gym with him and how he was just moving with his footwork, his placement of his shots, and obviously his devastating power that he has at the 118-pound division, which I believe he's at as of right now. And he's going against a guy that Pedro Guarva, who is a tough cookie. I believe he was 33 or 35 years old coming in at this fight. Never's gotten finished in any fight that he has before. And you could just see in this fight the size discrepancy between these two guys was clearly made a point to Bam Rodriguez to really just push him forward, bring in that pressure, keep pushing Guevara on the back foot and along the sides of the ropes. And he really just implemented that game plan so well. And while he was doing that, anything that was coming his way, he didn't give a damn about it. It was nothing for him to be able to consider it as a concern. So he just pretty much just stepped on the gas, did what he needed to do, and picked his right shots. Not really throwing hard, so that way he can get telegraphed with something coming back by Guarva because the fight did finish in the third round. So Guarva, even though he got finished early in this fight, was still kind of fresh, so to say. So if something were to come back Jesse's way, he definitely would have caught with something clean and something early in that fight. Could have definitely changed ways of how it would have looked, but nonetheless, uh, Jesse Baron Rodriguez, man. I mean, his footwork, again, the skill, just the not even you could say the power, but in this fight, it wasn't even really the power. He lands a nice straight left right on the chin of Guarva. He was landing that all night, especially in those first two rounds, and he landed it a devastating one in the third that really put Guarva down, had him really, really hurt. And then after that, in the second round, he did land a nice uppercut on Guarva that stunned him. But this one, after the left straight, that put him down. That rear, or actually, I think it was the lead uppercut that dropped him. A nasty lead uppercut dropped him to the canvas, and he's not able to get up from that. Guarva takes his mouthpiece out, and he really doesn't want no more. And honestly, really, in my opinion, the Chocolatito fight is definitely something to be able to consider for Jesse Bam Rodriguez, something for his legacy. But Chocolatito is definitely in the later stage of his career, past his prime as of right now. So it would be something of a name for Rodriguez. Again, like they said on the broadcast, the four kings of that division that Jesse Bam Rodriguez is at right now. But in my opinion, you look at fighters such as Naoya Inoue. Yes, they are in a heavier weight than Jesse Bam and Junto Nakatani. Those fighters are definitely fights that I see that are a lot more interesting, in my opinion, to see him get into the ring, especially at the lighter divisions that he's at as of right now. I want to see him. Hopefully, they're able to get those fights down the road. I know Nakatani and Inoue is something that they're probably going to be looking for, not as of right now, but something to think in the past, maybe a fight or two fights down the line, they can definitely get that done. But I definitely want to see Jesse Barron Rodriguez's name in those fights pertaining to Inoue and as well as Nakatani, because those three names as of right now, especially at the lighter weight divisions, like I already said as of right now, uh, they're just the fights to make. And honestly, anybody else at this division, whether they be, Juan Francisco Estrada again, or again, like I said, Chocolatito, that would just be pretty much an overkill in my opinion. So, great performance by pound for pound. Great as of right now, Jesse Bam Rodriguez. And we move on to the main event, which was Jaron Boots Ennis getting a rematch against Karen Chukhadzhian. And in the first fight, if you ever saw the first fight or had the unfortunate events of seeing that first fight was a snooze fest. Chukhadzhian was just in there pretty much to survive, wasn't really doing much. Was frustrating Ennis a lot though, and made Ennis look very sloppy and very rudimentary in the fight. Despite Ennis winning the fight and putting in the pressure and actually throwing punches, Chukhadzhian's boxing and his able to be light on his feet and move around was something to marvel at. Even though again, uh, that fight was boring as hell. But this fight, the second fight, the rematch between these two guys, was the antithesis of that fight. I mean, Chukhadzhian came in with a different mindset, was a lot more motivated, showed a lot of determination, heart, and grit to be able to make a fight out of it. Bite on the mouthpiece, say that you're gonna swing and bang in moments, you know what I mean, but not box around and move around like a pansy and be scared that you're gonna get caught with something and get knocked down. He already tasted the power of Jaron Ennis, so he's already known what is coming his way. And in this fight, it just seemed like that's what it was. Jaron Boots Ennis, in my opinion, did win this fight. He did have the better moments and won the overall rounds, if you want to count that into consideration in this fight. But very unimpressive, very, very unimpressive showing by Jaron Boots Ennis, fighting a guy that he already fought before, who was running away from him in the first fight because they were scared of the power. And then you fight them again, and then when you do fight them again, they're not as scared as what's coming their way because of what they've heard and what they've known and all this other stuff. And they go all 12 rounds with you. But credit where credit is due, Jaron Boots Ennis did do his job. He has talked about it in his post-fight conference about potentially moving up to 154 because I guess the weight cut on 147 is getting too much, is cutting in of his lack in power. And, you're getting up in an age, it's going to be harder and harder to be able to cut weight easier. And you're going to look better in the heavier weights because of you carrying more of what you actually need to get into fights instead of cutting less off of you. So there's something to be said there. But Jaron Boots Ennis is a very, very offensive uh, front forward, just thinking of getting knockouts and landing good shots on his opponent rather than having a simple balance of being offensively great but defensively sound. Defensively, he is good, but he's more good in a flashy manner of, having the good head movement, missing shots, in spectacular fashion. Again, being very flashy with his defense, but to the simpler terms of just being fundamentally defensively sound, he has a lot of lapses, loses focus, and can be very undisciplined a lot of times. So the same thing that happened in my last review that I was talking about in this David Avician fight. It happened in this fight, but even more, it's more of a glaring issue in my opinion. When you go up and you fight the top cream of the crop, the top tier level fighters, pertaining to the Terrence Crawfords, even coming off that loss, Errol Spence Jr.'s, moving up to 154, you're gonna meet a Jermell Charlo. Tim Tszyu, even though he's coming off that loss, can be a problem for Jaron Boots Ennis. Even though if his chin is maybe gone, then it's something completely different. Sebastian Fundora, who's a champion at 154 as of right now. There's not really much in 147 that you can say that is great opposition for Jaron Boots Ennis for him to be able to get over. I think it's easy for him to get undisputed in 147 at this moment as of right now. Yes, there is some competition in that division, but it has his name written all over it. He's a favorite, and it's for him to be able to take it. At 154, it's a different animal. Maybe he can be a lot more focused and a lot more disciplined and a lot more better, honestly, because, again, Karen Chukhadzhian was in there landing left hooks and overhand lefts at will in the orthodox stance. And maybe he didn't have enough power on it. Maybe it really didn't shake up Jaron. All of these factors could be factor in. But again, when you get hit with those kind of shots, and you get hit with those shots by a Terrence Crawford, by an Errol Spence, who's, these guys, Jamel Charlo, these guys that are known for having power in their hands, you're going to get hurt and you're going to get dropped and you're going to go down. So that really is just showing me that there's ways for Jaron Boots Ennis to potentially get to that potential that he has, that he could be able to reach. Because, again, he's a tremendous fighter, very good with the stance switches, great in southpaw, great in orthodox, punches like hell, has good power. But Karen Chukhadzhian was taking his shots in there, even though, yes, he did get stunned and he did get hurt, and he was holding a lot very excessively. That's something I didn't really like. But he was able to get out of the way and to stave off the power of Jaron Boots Ennis. Whereas we really think that he's a guy that he can really put your ass out, and it is what it is. He did get the knockdown in the fifth round. Again, he did win, and he did fight better than Kara Chukhadzhian did. But Chukhadzhian had a better outing. He did win rounds. He was landing effectively with his left hook and his overhand left, and he had a couple of straight rights that were down the pipe that did land really good on Jaron Boots Ennis. But in my opinion, very, very underwhelming performance by Jaron Boots Ennis. I expected more. He was a highly touted favorite in this fight. For him to be able to, mount that way into getting into contention to get those top tier level fights that he really does need as of right now. So maybe a change in division, him to move up, maybe a bigger name to get him really reeled in and really focused. Maybe that's something he needs, but there's definitely glaring issues that you can tell that if he fights that top level fighter as of then, you wouldn't be surprised if he got knocked out. He has a great chin, can take a punch, is a great puncher, is a great boxer, has great potential. But we're starting to notice some holes in his game. And thank you guys again for watching this type of content. Obviously, if you like this type of content, this boxing content, I got this for you certified, guys. You know. Like this video if you obviously like this video. Comment your opinions on what you think and what you saw in these fights on this card. I know Raymond Ford was fighting on this card, coming back from the loss from Nick Ball. Very, very close and controversial loss that he had in that one. Jesse Ben Rodriguez looking like a pound-for-pound fighter for a long time. And Jaron Boots Ennis, what do you see in his futures, and what are some fights that you want to see for him in his career upcoming? Subscribe, obviously, to this channel if you obviously like this type of content. I'm always going to have this type of content for you guys. The big fights for Saturday night, I got it for you guys. Thank you guys again for watching again, and peace.